Good day. You are welcome to the third week of our Excel Made Easy class. This week we'll be working on number. We'll be working on basic functions in Excel, if and nested if, sum, AutoSum and SumIf, count and COUNTIF, maximum and minimum, mean, average and AverageIf. We should know that average is the same as mean. Then we'll also work on date functions. Now, what are functions? What are functions? Functions are predefined formulas that perform calculation by using specific values called arguments. That is, a function helps you to be able to perform complex or simple calculation properly. They are predefined formulas. A function is actually a formula, but predefined in such a way that all you need to do is to pass your arguments to it. What are arguments? Specific value. You will understand better as we move on. And then I want to show you some. Excel has a lot of functions. Excel has a lot of functions and categories of functions, but I'll show you the most popular functions in Excel. Sum function, under which we have sum, SumIf, AutoSum. We have if functions, nested ifs, lookup function, VLOOKUP. Those are the most common Excel function. Match function, choose. We have date functions. We have find functions. We also have functions specifically for accounting. We have functions that are accounting functions. We have financial functions. And all of these, we'll go through the major functions in this class. We cannot go through all the functions, that's sure. If you have a specific need for a specific function, then you go deeper into learning that particular function. But I will go through the most common functions that you can encounter or that you may need while using Excel. Like I said, we'll be working on sum, AutoSum, SumIf. We'll be using if and nested if, count and COUNTIF. We'll check maximum, minimum. We'll check mean, which is average, median. We'll check on those. We'll work on those functions. Now let's go straight to our work. You remember these data sets. This is data set of staff. Some staff and their salary. We have their basic pay, their allowances, and then we are able to get the gross salary. Remember that the gross salary will now be addition of C2. What is C2? Basic pay plus D2, which is housing allowance, plus transport. E is on E, plus utility, which is on F2. Did you see? G2, like that. Now, the disadvantage of this using this method to sum up is that peradventure any of those allowances, let's say any of the columns were missing, maybe your boss asks you to know what is overtime allowance, come and remove the overtime allowance, and then you remove the column. We added this by saying C2 plus D2 plus E2 plus F2 plus G2 plus H2 plus I2 plus J2 plus K2. Now, peradventure you remove your J, you'll see what happens. If you delete this column J, if you delete it, see what happens. You start having error message in the gross salary that you have calculated. So there is a better way of summing up, of doing sum here. So that will lead us to the function sum. I hope we get it. So let me undo what I did. Let me return the overtime allowance. So you see that as I return the overtime allowance, the sum came. in order not to face this challenge again, what do we do? What is the better way of summing? Let me clear what's here. Okay, so if here I say I may decide to use AutoSum. AutoSum is a function that has helped you to, it has defined the sum, it will even define where and where. It will automatically determine where and where you want to AutoSum. You want to sum together, but you can adjust the argument. If the argument is not gotten right, you can adjust. But before I show you AutoSum, let's do sum. Equals to, so that you understand what AutoSum does. Equals to sum what? Sum what? Basic pay, which is C2, to, that's using double column, to what? To where? Sum basic pay C2 to where? C2 to K2. Leave allowance, that is from basic allowance, which is C2, basic allowance, which is C2, to using your double your double column, sorry, a full column, using your full column, to K2. What is on K2? Leave allowance. You can see that it's even highlighting, it's highlighting from C2 to K2, telling you this is the area you are summing up. Then you close the brackets, then you say enter. You will see it has given us. Then to effect the change on the rest of the column, because the rest of the column are still carrying. So what you do is, on the first one, you come to this corner, you see this four directional arrow, black. You click on it and you double click, or you click and drag. So if you look at it, it has affected it in the rest of them. So for this point, it is C9 to K9. Now let me delete that overtime allowance and see if it will have any effect on it. Can you see? It does not show me any error message. What it will simply do is that whatever value that is on the overtime allowance, it will just be removed and it will automatically do the sum. Do we get it? So let me put a value here for an example. Okay, this first person's gross salary is 111,390, but after removing the overtime allowance, what happens? It will just calculate what is supposed to be. Removing the 2,000 naira, it makes it 109,390, but it won't give you error message, unlike our first scenario. Okay, that is about sum. Now let's assume that the management let me wrap this place. The content is not showing well and I don't want to extend the cell, so I wrap. Now let's assume the management decides that these are staff, especially the ones getting a low pay. Let's do something for them. Let's do something. They want to know, anyone who is getting less than 150,000, we should give them some bonus. So they want to know how many people are actually eligible for the bonus. Can you see? So what do? If you want to know who is eligible and who is not eligible, you can use if. You can now say if their salary, that is this gross salary, is greater or equals to 150,000, then the person is not eligible. But if it's less than 150,000, the person is eligible. How do we do that? You use if. You will say equals to if. Can you see? Even if you click on this if, it will show you what is the argument that you are supposed to pass. If is a function here. Okay, as I click on this if, it shows me that this is the argument and this is the format it should follow. Logical test first. That is what you want to test. What do I want to test? I want to test if this gross salary is less than 150. That is my test. 150,000. That's my test. What's the next? After the test, they say the value if it is true. So the value if it is true is what? I will say the person is eligible. But because I am writing this as a text, so I have to quote the text because it's a text. I'll say this person is eligible. Okay, what is the next thing after doing the comma? Value if it is false. What will be the value if it is false? Not eligible. So don't forget, as I'm writing not, you see that it's trying to look for a function that is similar in order not to confuse Excel, to tell Excel that this is a text I am writing. I'm not trying to get a function, so just put it in a quote, double quote, not eligible. Then you close the bracket. Let's go. You see this person is eligible because the salary is less than 150. Then just click on this corner and drag, or you double click so that it will do for everybody. Now let's see, it has done for everybody. Can you see? We now have some people are eligible, some not eligible. So you can decide to filter out the eligible people. Filter. Okay. You can decide to filter out the eligible people only. Okay. You see? It's 27 people that are eligible. Even Excel shows you here. Okay, and there's a function can also help you to know how many people are eligible without filtering it out. That's count A. So let me clear the filter. Here. Okay. Count if what? If the value is, count what? The range where you want it to count. That has led us to another function. Count the range where you want to count. If it is what? If the condition met is what? If the condition is eligible, so that you will know the number of people who are eligible. So count, you see, range, comma, what is the criteria? If you have eligible. You see 27 people are eligible from this function. Can you see? We were able to count how many people are eligible here. So we use count. Count eligible. Count eligible people. How did we count it? We said count if, then it asks us what is the range? Where am I counting? From M2 to M34. That is from the beginning here to the end. That's where it's counting. And what does it want to check for? That is the condition. I said eligible. So anyone that has a content eligible, it will do what? Automatically count it. So we've been able to do count if even now. Now let's continue. The next one we want to do here is we want to now assign bonus to them, because it is not the same bonus for everybody. Even though your salary is less than 150, it is not the same bonus. Let's assume we've been given this kind of condition that, okay, if it's from 0 to 90,000 naira, then you have a bonus of 30,000. If the condition is 91,000, 91, if your salary is 91,000 to 120, you have a bonus of 20,000. If your salary is 120,000 to 150, you have a bonus of 10,000. And if it's greater than 150, Samsung, you don't have any bonus. So how do we go about that? You start using if function, but this time around, since we have a whole lot of condition, that means it is going to be a nested if. Here we only had one condition when we did bonus startup. We only want to know if you are less than 150, so that we will be able to assign to you whether you are eligible or not eligible. But when you have more than one condition to specify, then you use nested if or ifs function. There is ifs function in the latest version of Microsoft Excel. I'm using Microsoft Excel 2013, and I have ifs. I will check whether we have ifs function there. But among the latest version, I think is around 365. Microsoft Excel 365 upward has ifs function. Let me check. Do I have ifs function here? No. Microsoft 2013 does not have ifs function. Okay, to display how ifs function works for you, I will do that. I will install Microsoft 2021 so that I can display how ifs function works, but that won't be in this session. So if function, what do we do? Nested if what's the condition? What is the logical test? Can you see it's guiding us? What's the logical test? If your salary, where is the salary? Gross salary is less than or equals to 90,000. That is the first condition. 90,000. So if your gross salary is less than or equals to 90,000, then what do you want to do? Comma, what is the value if it is true? What will you do? You assign 30,000 naira to the person. You assign 30,000 naira to it. So what happens if it is false? If you didn't meet that condition, comma, then you say if again. That's the next condition. If it is less than, if what? L2, because that's where the salary, gross salary is. If the L2 is now less than or equals to 120,000. Don't do mistake by putting comma in the 120. Just put it like that, because comma is it's part of what is Excel sees it as keyword in this function, because comma is used to separate the logical test from what should the condition from what should happen. So you don't put comma in the value. So if you have less than or equals to 120,000, how much bonus will they assign to you? That's 20,000 naira bonus. That's 20,000 naira bonus. Okay, what if you don't meet this criteria? You say comma again and say if it is, if it does not is not less than or equals to 120, and so the next condition it is if it is less than, if L2 is less than 150,000, that is, it's more than this 120,000, but is not up to 150,000. So what should be? Then you should give the person 10,000 naira. Else, okay, if all these conditions are not met, then if the person is having a salary that is greater or equals to 150,000, so you say if again and put the condition L2 greater or equals to 150,000. Then what should happen? Assign 0 to that person. because the person is at is earning enough to be able to uh, to be able to pay for his or her transport, because this bonus was meant for transportation. So then you close the bracket. The next thing is closing the brackets. So you close the bracket. You ensure that all the brackets you have opened are closed. How many brackets have we opened? 1, 2, 3. So when you are 3, 4. So when you are closing brackets, you are closing 4 brackets. You see, it's even guiding you with color. This black has closed this. This black has closed this black here. This red has closed this red here. You see, this one has closed this. Then this last one, green. This last one has closed this. So then you say enter. See your result. Good. This person's salary is falls between 91,000 and 120,000. That's why the person gets 20,000 naira bonus. You just double click for the rest. Look at these people. 162,000 naira. They are not eligible, so they are getting 0. Are you getting it? Are you following? Are we getting it? Okay. Okay. Let me explain again. Let me explain the formula again. Nested if, that is, you are nesting multiple if function. Remember, we use if function when we want to check the eligibility, because we have just one condition. Now when you have more than one condition, how do you go about it? That's when you do nested if. You say, okay, these are the conditions, so, and these are the bonus we will assign. So if gross salary, which is L2, is less than or equals to 90,000, then you assign 30,000 naira. It's 90,000, not 9,000. 90,000. You assign extra 30,000 to the person. If it is less than 120,000, then you assign 20,000 to the person. That is, if the person's salary is more than 90,000, but is less than or equals to 120,000, then the person falls into this condition. Comma, if, what's the condition again? If the person's salary here is more than 120, but it's not up to 150,000, the person is still eligible. Even if the person is collecting 149,000, he's still eligible. Okay, you give the person extra 10,000 as bonus. If the person's salary is greater or equals to 150, can you see how I wrote greater or equals to? I put greater than sign, then put equals to after. Greater than or equals to 150,000. Then what do? You assign 0, meaning the person is not eligible. I hope we are there. Thank you very much. I hope we've gotten that. Okay, are we able to get that? That's fine. Let's see. Now, I was able to digress to count if, count A. I was able to digress to count if. Now, let me show you what count A, count if, maximum, minimum does. Okay, before I move on, the other time I mentioned sum, isn't it? Sum CK to FK. Let's assume I want to use AutoSum to do that sum. It's AutoSum. What would I do? I will just come here and do AutoSum. It will do the sum. It will tell me, it will now start inserting the formula. Like now, the AutoSum is not correct here. It's saying AutoSum L2 to where now? L2 to where? So it's not from L2 I want to sum. I want to sum all of this. And the reason why it's not getting, most of the time it used to get it right, is because I have the gross salary here already. Let me okay. Let me undo what I did. Okay. Let me remove this. Okay. Assuming it's AutoSum I want to use. Let me clear content. Okay. Assuming it's AutoSum I want to use, what I'll do is, assuming it's AutoSum, I'll just say click on this place and say AutoSum. See, it has brought the formula that is C2 to K2, which was the same formula I typed with my hand. The only difference is that I am not typing this with my hand. I just did it. It's a quick sum. It's a way of doing quick sum. That is the difference between sum and AutoSum. So let's go through count. I have said count. Okay, we say count eligible. We say count eligible. Let's say quickly go through count numbers. Count does what count does is ordinary counts only counts count where the number of, okay, if I say count, if I apply count on this place, that is from M2 to M34, if I apply count function on it, you see what it will return: 0. Why? Because count alone only counts numeric value. Because from here, from this M2 to M34, I don't have any numeric value, it won't count. So if I want to count what is here, so count number uses count numbers, number values. But if I want to count what I have here, I will just say count A equals to count A, and then from where, M2 to where, to M34. That is where I want you to count. You see, it has shown me that I have 33 items here. Can you see? I am counting the numbers. Now let's assume I have some numeric value. Actually, I'm counting everything, whether numbers or something. Count A will do that for you. Let's assume I have numeric value 23 here. I have 40. Count A will count everything that I have, and then count function alone we count only the numbers. Can you see now that my numbers count now has value? It has 2 because we have 2 numbers in this particular place. And then count, we count everything. Then count blank, the one that counts blank, equals to count blank. It will count only the blank rows. Count blank from where? M2 to where? M34, and close it. Can you see? The only blank cell I have here is what? The only blank cell I have is only one blank cell. Count all. Count A means count all. Then this count only counts number, count alone. It counts number. Then count if eligible. That is if the condition is met, that is if the content is saying eligible, that is you are looking for a particular word. I hope we have understand count function. Now let's go to minimum and maximum. Minimum, maximum, median, then average. Okay, minimum, let's say, equals to minimum from, so we are using salary to check for minimum and maximum. Salary is L2, that is here. From L2 to where? To L what? L34. Okay, the minimum salary here is 88,843. The maximum, you just say equals to max L2 to L38. Sorry, it's not L38, it's L34. It ended here, 34. And close it. You see, the maximum salary is 174. The median salary, the middle, what it does to the middle is that it arranges from the lowest to the highest and then picks the middle. If there are two values that are middle, it will add those two values and divide by 2 to give you the middle. Equals to median L2 to L34. Can you see? Then if it's average, equals to, that's mean, average value, L2 to L34. Close the brackets. Can you see? The average salary, that is adding the highest to the lowest, dividing by 2. That's the median. No, that's the median. But average salary, that is adding all of them, dividing by the number of people, adding all the people's salary, dividing by the number of people, number of staff there. If you add this, all this salary together and divide by number of staff, which is 30, I think the number of staff is 33, you will get this average value. But instead of you to do that manually, then Microsoft Excel has actually helped you to do that. So in summary, we've been able to do if, nested if, sum, AutoSum, count A, which means count all, count blank, count if, minimum, maximum, median, and average. At this point, I would like to end the class. If you have any question, just post it in the WhatsApp group for the class and I will swiftly attend to them. Thank you very much for today's class, for attending. I'll be sending in assignments. Okay, before I round up, what's our assignment? The assignment is that you will replicate what I have done. So I'll be sending you the data set. You will just replicate what I have done. You will sum up the staff salary. You will add it. And then you will check if the person is eligible or not. And then you will give me you will also calculate how much each person should be assigned to based on this condition. Then you will also do count and count if. Thank you very much.
Mom.